The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of salt. So get ready, nerds, because we're talking Loki, Episode 5, Spoiler Talk. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today we're going to be doing a spoiler discussion on Episode 5 of the new Disney Plus show, Loki. I'm joined, as always, by my panel of nerds. Welcome, Matt Vader. What's up, dude?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm tired.
Yeah, me too. I'm also joined by Jude, our ambassador of estrogen.
Hi.
Hi.
What's up? How you doing?
Bunch of freaking Eeyores over here. And Matthew Kadish, producer extraordinaire.
I guess I'm the only one excited to talk about this show.
You're the only. I think you're the only one who likes it.
No, I like it.
You like it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just knock this one out, please.
Let's just get this over with.
Fucking Loki.
Oh man. Before we get into it and we dive into the spoilers and all that stuff, we're gonna take a quick break, listen to some sponsors. We'll be right back. Hey, if you'd like to support the podcast, go to saltynerdclub.com. There you can join our Patreon page, and you get exclusive access to all kinds of really cool stuff, along with behind-the-scenes photos, private chats with the hosts, and our blooper reels, which is our bread and butter. We have a lot of fun joking around and doing stuff that doesn't make it to the final show, and you can get access to it on Patreon. You can pick whatever tier you want, guys. Just a little bit of cheddar helps us out a lot, helps us make great content for you. All right, let's get into it. Kadish, what is this episode all about? Are we just going to riff? How are we doing this? I feel like I'm out of the loop because I missed last week.
Is this the one where they just like run around with their pet alligator and fight clouds or something?
Yeah.
Is that it?
You Philistine.
Yeah.
They fill you in.
Yeah.
So this is season 1, episode 5 of Loki, entitled Journey into Mystery, and that's a callback to the comic book series that Loki first appeared in, which was later renamed to, I believe, the Mighty Thor. So I think that that's what eventually morphed into the Thor comics. But it's a nice little throwback. And in this episode, basically, Loki tries to escape from the Void, which is this area at the end of time. And he meets variant versions of himself. And we're introduced to some interesting stuff in this episode, most notably this entity called Alioth. And Alioth is a very deep cut from the comic books, where he's basically called Alioth the Usurper. And he's this like gaseous being that has a larger temporal empire than Kang the Conqueror, and Kang had to create this temporal barrier to keep Alioth away from his kingdom. So there's this like little like rivalry going on between Kang and Alioth in the comics. But he was a very obscure kind of like character that this show basically just picked up and put in.
I've been watching a couple of videos and deep dives into references and stuff, and this show has a lot of that stuff. A lot, like deep cut comic book stuff from like the 60s, and it's crazy. I admire him for it. I'll give him props.
I feel like I should be excited that they do that.
Like,
it's a bit cherry picking,
but I just
I have issues with the show so far. I have missed last week, but I'll kind of reiterate my thoughts in a second. But there's, just for an example of like some of these weird deep cuts, like there's a scene in this episode where they go from above ground to underground, and you gotta get to see like a dissected version of what's underground. And there's like a jar with a version of Thor that's a frog, and he's trying to reach Mjolnir, but he can't because he's instead of a glass jar. That's like a super deep cut from.
Do you know they got Chris Hemsworth to voice Throg for that? Like,
was there actually a voice?
Yeah, you could hear him like kind of struggling in the jar.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's crazy attention to detail. I do have to give the show props for that. That's
I like that.
That's good stuff.
And there's all these like lunch trays from the TVA. It makes you wonder like where are all these lunch trays coming from?
It's funny. I mean, there's things that you can cherry pick, but
there were a lot of cool Easter eggs. Like you saw a Yellow Jacket helmet that was like huge. And you also saw the Thanos copter, which is like another deep cut from the comic books. So like there was a lot of cool stuff in this episode where like if you're a comic book nerd, you're like picking all that stuff out.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why people would like that stuff. And before we get into this episode, like my thoughts on that last one, do you guys remember when they were stuck on that planet in the apocalypse and they didn't have any way of getting out? And I was like, how is Loki like stopping the building? Is it a dream? Is it some kind of a trick? Is it an illusion or whatever? It's like, no, they completely played all that straight. And I remember when I said like, You know, it would be the worst thing possible they could do is if they could just Deus Ex Machina these guys out of this planet and have the TVA show up and grab them and take them away.
That's what they
did.
did.
Exactly what they did. And I was like, God damn it, man. So boring. That was my salt, just a real quick recap of last week's episode. Everything that I didn't want them to do ended up what they did. And I was just like, I kind of rolled my eyes.
I was
like, come
bummed out that the tempad was actually broken and that Loki wasn't just up to hijinks. He was actually being honest. I was like, well, that's not a Loki I'm care to invest in.
So that's just a real quick thought on that.
I'm just glad that they've introduced enough new Lokis now to where we can buy Funko Pops for forever.
Oh, are you into these Funko Pop Loki thing? No. Why are you lying to me, man?
Because I've already seen them. I was just trying to make.
Oh, okay. Is there an alligator Loki Funko Pop?
Absolutely.
Nice.
There's all of these guys have Funko Pops.
I want an alligator Loki TV show.
Oh my God. Are you one of those people that fell for that?
Oh man.
I want an alligator Loki t-shirt. Can somebody please make that?
T-shirt I could see.
They actually, those little polo shirts with like the little thing. They have like an alligator Loki version of that.
That's pretty clever.
That's clever. That's clever.
I need that.
Yeah. I can see that.
We all do. All right, so we see Loki meet up with 4 variant versions of himself in the void, the point where all time ends, and we're introduced to the being Eliath, who consumes all matter. We learn the various alternate Loki's backstories. So young Loki killed Thor. Alligator Loki ate the wrong neighbor's cat. Boastful Loki claims to have defeated the Avengers and claimed all 6 Infinity Stones for himself. And original Loki faked his death at the hands of Thanos and hid away on a secluded planet, mastering the magic of illusion.
Until he got lonely.
And
our Loki falls in love with himself. So
of course he would. Why not?
That's the only person he could fall in love with.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
I get it.
As much as I was like, oh, that's kind of a boring storyline that he's just going to have they're just going to have these 2 people fall in love. But when I think about it, I'm like, no, that checks. That checks out.
He's a narcissist.
Twitter created a whole word for that. It's called self-cessed.
Oh my God. I hate Twitter so much.
You ever like look at yourself in the mirror and play with yourself?
Oh, I'm not going down that road. God, I haven't had enough booze to talk about that with you.
Looking.
I bet you do with that beard of yours and your braids.
That is very Silence of the Lambs.
Fuck me. You got the doom. God damn it, guys. Oh.
I'm so good looking for a fat dude with things in his beard. Yeah, man.
No.
All right. So one of the things I want to point out, which you can't argue about with the show, is how good the music is.
Yeah. The music is great.
There's music.
Yeah.
I guess
when they're like hovering over the planet that they land on.
Am I completely checked out on this show?
I think you might be, because there's things I like about it.
Because I watch this show and I'm like, oh, is it over yet?
You get like this every time we watch a show.
Yeah. If it's you struggle to keep your interest in all of these shows. So
then they should be better.
Okay. That's your right to say that. There's things I like about it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to dump some salt. The last couple of episodes, it hasn't felt like Tom
Hiddleston.
It's
not Tom Hiddleston's Loki's show.
No.
Once they introduce Sylvie, it's now the Sylvie show, and Tom Hiddleston.
But she's a Loki. So the show's name is Loki.
Yeah.
So it's still about Loki. It's just all these other Lokis.
Yeah, but it's not.
Just not our Loki.
I feel like I got freaking. What did you call it? Rope-a-doped? Or something.
That's not bad.
I feel like I got rope-a-doped out of it. Like, I wanted to see Tom Hiddleston be a freaking badass, cool, conniving Loki, and now I get the
what's
Sylvie
interesting,
show.
Though, is that our Loki, the one from Endgame who escaped with the Tesseract, we've seen an actual character arc for him where he's becoming a hero. And that to me is very interesting, even though like he has like all these different variant versions of himself. One of the best scenes in this episode was when we meet Mayor Loki and his army of Lokis, and they all double cross each other. And then you see like our Loki, where he realizes how detrimental his double crossing is. And it gets to the point where he's sitting with Sylvie and she's like, how do I know, when I need you most that you're not going to double cross me? And he says, I betrayed anyone I've ever cared about, and I know why I did it. and I'm not going to do that to you. And so like we've actually had an arc for this Loki. And I think that to say that this isn't his show is a bit not correct, because I feel like he's had the most character growth than any of the characters that we've seen in the show. And
at the same time, I'm loving every time I get introduced to a new version of Loki. I find it so, it just makes me chuckle. Like a classic Loki, he got his big moment.
Classic Loki saves this episode for me.
Yeah, and like I want more Loki. I want more Mayor Loki. I want more of all of the Lokis.
I love when Mayor Loki got his hand bitten off.
Oh my god, hilarious!
Started screaming.
Hilarious.
It was a big Captain Hook moment too. You know?
Yeah. Or Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, and all those Lokis that were like around him that made up like his like little gang. You know, Jude and I had a debate as to whether or not those were actually Lokis, but if you look really closely, like they're all just different variants of Loki.
There's one with a football helmet with like antlers on it. It's pretty funny.
And most of them look a mess.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it adds to the charm and hilarity of this show.
All right, I get it. I don't know. When I saw that moment in the trailer with Mayor Loki and he's like, "What did you expect?" I was like, I thought that this show was going to culminate in our version from the MCU Loki, like being the leader of all the Loki army, and like
we got one more episode.
It's gonna be Sylvie, dude. It's the Sylvie show right now.
They've done a really good job of setting up the fact that like Loki's purpose is to be the bad guy, and so all these variant Lokis are fulfilling their quote unquote glorious purpose. But Sylvie and our Loki, the TVA Loki, they have broken out of that pact, and so did original Loki and Alligator Loki and Kid Loki. And you can see that like every time that they try to veer off their chosen path, they're pruned and sent to this place. They even say that in this episode. And so like the whole story here is basically like, can a villain be redeemed and become a hero if left to his own devices? And I think that's a very interesting kind of like concept to play with.
I think you are reading a lot into that.
I do think it's interesting that we're now getting a Loki who is not so much of a bad guy. However, what I love about Loki is that he's a mischievous scamp. He's a bad guy.
Because I
like the bad guy.
We already explored that type of this character arc, and I think Thor Ragnarok, when they were on the planet together, I felt like he was like trying to get back together with Thor and have that brotherly connection and save the Asgardians. Like I felt like that was already explored. This show's just like redoing it.
When they killed him in Endgame, was it Endgame he died?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was genuinely upset.
Yeah.
Because
he was
Loki's dead now. This Loki, I don't know who this guy is.
This episode,
because I don't like this version of this character. I like the one that died.
The thing that
I know it's supposed to be the same dude, but it's not. It's different, and
it's a previous timeline.
Yeah.
I also think that they're handling like alternate timelines really well with this, like as opposed to we just talked about like the alternate timeline in the Star Trek movies with the J.J. Abrams ones. That was a mess. But with this, I'm like the believability of it is there for me.
See, I got really upset last week because when Sylvie like did her master plan and she like made all these massive variants, and the TVA was like, "Oh my God, we're never going to be able to prune all these variants. It's out of control." And then like the next episode, there's like a single sacred timeline. Everything's fine. I was like, what? They just washed their hands of that. So what was the point of that whole thing?
It was to create a distraction to allow her to reach the timekeepers, and our Loki kind of messed that up for her. So like, I agree with you though. Like I would have liked to have seen how the TVA dealt with that, because it looked like an oh crap moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would have been a more interesting story than the TVA being robots. I think we all kind of already knew that was going to happen anyway. I think it would have been more interesting to follow that storyline where there's all of these different, like she set off all of these time bombs.
Yeah.
That was really interesting to me, and I'm sad that it's dropped, but that wasn't actually her plan. So I get it, but I am disappointed.
Here's what I'm worried about, and this has happened with all the other Marvel shows. I'm worried that what I expect them to happen, right? So I'm like, okay, so the bombing of the TVA timeline and creating all these variants. Oh, cool. We're going to get to explore how that's going to create chaos and all this other stuff. Nope. It's taken care of in the next episode. Like it never even happened. And then with this thing with the Time Lords, oh, we're going to see the Time Lords. We're going to fight them. Oh, they're robots. So that doesn't matter anymore. Well, it's like every time they set something up, it's this constant like subversion of expectations after subversion of expectations.
I thought the revelation of the Time Lords being a decoy, I kind of saw it coming from like, the minute they introduced them, but
The minute they said Time Lords, I was like, those guys aren't real.
Well, I liked the twist. Like the show has been very good at giving me twists that have made me like surprised. And I like that. So Sylvie briefly teams up with Renslayer, who reveals that she was fooled by the Timekeeper deception as well. But Sylvie is betrayed by Renslayer after pickpocketing a TemPad. She prunes herself to meet up with Loki in the Void, which is a dumping ground for all matter in pruned timelines, which is what I called last week, where I was like, that's obviously a place where like all the alternate timelines get dumped into.
Yeah. After the end credit scene you're talking about,
Yeah.
where like, he wakes up to all the other Lokis.
Second, how shocked were you when Owen Wilson showed back up?
Oh, none. They're
Not
not
at
gonna,
all, right?
Yeah, they're not going to kill him.
Oh,
The other
shocker.
I did think that it was a stretch for me, like, to be on board with like the whole conversation between Sylvie and Renslayer. Like Renslayer is duping Sylvie the whole time, and then Sylvie figures out you're lying to me. But then she believes half of what Renslayer said because it's convenient to the storyline, and then she prunes herself based on the thing that Renslayer had just told her.
she has no idea if that's going to work or
And I was like,
not.
that's kind of a stretch. You just pruned yourself based on what that liar said. She was like, oh no, I was lying, but not about that.
Well, she was like,
And I was
oh,
like, that's a little far-fetched for me.
I feel like she was cornered, and so like she took a risk by trusting that that's what the truth was, because she was going to get pruned no matter what.
I think she could have got out. There's only 3 or 4 dudes there. She could have got out of there. I don't know. I'm just not into this like constant like hoodwinking. Oh, this is different and this is different. Oh, remember all those guys that got pruned and died? Yeah, they're not really dead. They're in this another universe. It's just constantly doing this over and over. And
most
over
of
again.
them are kind of dead now because Alioth ate them.
Yeah, that's the catch-all. Like,
Yeah,
but
so the Lokis are betrayed by boastful Loki, who teams up with Mayor Loki and an army of other Lokis to be King of the Void. The Lokis all turn on one another, while the original Loki, Kid Loki, Alligator Loki, and regular Loki all escape. Regular Loki convinces the others to take him to Alioth to figure out how to kill it.
Is there Brainy, Grouchy, and Handy?
I'm sure there are.
I bet you there. Yeah.
About we even have a Loki-ette.
Yeah.
And we have a
Well, it was funny because like regular Loki asked the others, like, "Have you ever met a female variant of us?" And original Loki's like, "That sounds dreadful." So basically, when Sylvie materializes in the Void, she's rescued from Alioth by Mobius, but not before she realizes that she can possibly enchant Alioth and take control of him. She meets up with regular Loki and his variants and reveals Alioth is like a guard dog who is defending the entrance to the person responsible for the TVA. Regular Loki teams up with her to enchant Alioth, while Morbius returns to the TVA to take it down. I really like the setup for the finale because this is the penultimate episode.
I am expecting a lot out of the last episode.
I got a drink now.
I don't want to get
Penultimate.
disappointed. I know my hopes are very high right now, so I'm probably going to end up getting disappointed, but I'm really hopeful for the last episode because I'm putting a lot of eggs in that basket. Like, I want to know who is behind the curtain, very Wizard of Oz moment.
Yeah. How much you want to bet it's going to be another variant of Loki?
Well, if they're sticking with the comics,
It's got to be Kang.
no, if they're sticking with the comics, I know who it is, but it's gonna be interesting to see what their ultimate choice is.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm going to get my salt. I know Jude's going to roll her eyes at me.
What?
Or I can already tell you right now.
What?
The chick is the savior. Like last episode, we got 15 minutes of Loki getting kneed in the balls and told he was a piece of shit until he apologized. I'm like, Jesus, can we be a little more subtle maybe?
We're in the MCU.
I get it. And then in this episode, he's like, no, none of us matter. She's the special one. And I'm just, Jesus Christ. Really? Okay. All right. Let's go for it. Go ahead. And that's what I'm like. This ultimate episode at the end of the season finale. I'm just waiting for.
The thing was,
I'm waiting for it.
The thing was, though, is Sylvie couldn't have enchanted Alioth on her own, so it's not like the women are being exalted at the price of the men. It's that they're showing that there's like a co-equal thing going on there, where the male Loki and the female Loki need each other to succeed.
Hold on. You want me to go full Phantom Menace?
Do whatever you want.
This is gonna be fun. Because I noticed this, and half of my brain tells me
I haven't been paying any attention.
Half of my brain tells me I'm reading too much into it, and the other half of my brain tells me this was 100% deliberate. There is a shot where it's a far shot. I don't know what you call it in freaking director terms, but it's a wide shot and you're looking at Loki, male Loki and female Loki and Sylvie. And male Loki literally sidesteps and walks around and gets behind female Loki and like stands and I'm like, are we going there? Is that what we're doing? I can't tell if that's what we're doing or not, or if I'm just like being super salty.
I think you're being super salty.
I'm like,
I don't know.
The last couple episodes, it's just been constant beratement of the male is the bad. You're a narcissist piece of shit, Loki. I hate you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And Sylvie's the savior.
Well, that's the trend.
I'm like, oh my God. I told you were going to roll your eyes at me.
I don't know. So basically,
you can fight me about it. Go ahead. Convince me I'm wrong.
I just think that you have gotten a little worn down by other shows and movies who have beaten that into us. I don't think that this is being heavy-handed.
Okay.
For me, this is not the Sylvie show because she's not my Loki. She's Sylvie. She's a variant of Loki, but she's even said, "Don't call me Loki. I'm not Loki."
Yeah.
He's Loki. And I think that it's his arc that we're following. It's not her arc. She is an important part of this because she's part of his arc. And he's the one that said, we're stronger than we think. And I liked the whole like team player aspect between classic Lady and Tom Hiddleston Loki.
Like I said this a couple minutes ago, but like classic Loki saves this episode for me. Like I thought his scene where he's like freaking going full super
When
Loki.
he made Asgard,
yeah,
that was awesome.
That was dope.
Yeah.
That was super cool.
Yeah, you could argue that he was the hero of this
100%.
episode.
Somebody on TikTok, they put I need a hero over that scene.
Nice.
I love that song.
Oh, it works so well.
Well, the great part about that scene is that the score was Ride of the Valkyries, but Loki-ized for that episode. And you can kind of hear the familiar refrain in that song. It was just so well done, and Loki. Original Loki, he's sitting there and he's just like being a badass, like with his
so
summoning,
cool.
And he's like glorious, and then he
laughs
in the face of the lion.
Yes, yeah, that was a great scene.
And that was his arc.
Yeah.
Like we only got him for a short amount of time, which if we had more episodes, I would have loved to have more of him and all of the other Lokis, but we got 6 episodes. And we get what we get, basically.
Well,
I'm happy so far.
There's
with
probably
what
another
we're getting.
variant of him out there.
I hope so.
But we also have young Loki awarding our Loki Leviathan, the golden sword, which is an actual thing from Norse mythology. It's Loki's like weapon, and it's implied that that's what the kid used to kill Thor.
Nice.
And so like now that Loki has that sword, he can summon it at any point, and that's like his hero weapon. It's kind of like his was it Mjolnir?
Yeah, Mjolnir.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
So basically, I feel like the climax of this episode where Sylvie and Loki have to team up to combine their powers in order to enchant Goliath right after original Loki sacrifices himself in order to give them time to do that. And then it's revealed the Citadel at the end of time where like the actual mastermind is, the man behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, whoever that might be. I really liked that ending, and the fact that they didn't do like an after credit sequence and they just like left it on that. It's like, yeah, I got to tune into the finale. I was like, okay, I'm down.
Oh, I was like, you son of a bitch! Give me an end credit scene.
And don't get me wrong,
stingy mothers.
I do want to see what happens. I want to see where it goes. I just have there's just a couple things that, and maybe I'm just being overly raw about it, but it just twinges me sometimes, and I'm like, I feel like they're doing it on purpose, but I could be wrong. But
this is what makes you who you are.
Yeah, I'm just like,
it's okay.
Am I? And it doesn't matter. I want to say this is not necessarily based on what's happening in the show, but I just wanted to comment because I want to give the costume designers and the prop teams kudos for doing this. The actress who plays Sylvie is a new mother, and she's breastfeeding her children.
That's true.
And she posted on social media
I saw that
the costume designers went out of their way to provide her with a costume that would allow her to feed her baby without being completely undressed and like have to unzip everything and everything. They like provided her with that.
It's like a breakaway
Yeah.
uniform.
And my wife,
How
like
clever.
we have a 2-month-old baby, and I told my wife that, and she's like, "This freaking show's awesome."
Yeah, yeah.
So I just
she even made a little comment about how uncomfortable her outfit is.
Yeah,
in the show.
I want to give them props for that. I think they deserve kudos for being able to do that
100%.
and providing that to her. I think it's really cool. It's worth noting.
It's pretty cool.
They should have given her more pockets, though. I don't know how many pockets are in that thing, but women don't have enough pockets.
That doesn't look like enough. So let me ask you guys, what are your predictions for the finale, Alex?
It's going to be another chick behind the whole thing. Jude,
You got your eye roll.
I told you were going to roll your eyes at me. It's going to be, the big bad's going to be a chick, and Sylvie's going to save the day, and Loki's just going to kind of watch and go, wow, we can really do it, can't we? Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
All right, Vader, what do you
I
think?
agree with that. Jude?
I mean, I thought we were going to end up seeing Kane the Conqueror behind the
And I thought we
Goliath,
were going to...
but Kadish says no.
I thought we were
so
going to get Mephisto in WandaVision.
Yeah.
So
That's true. I'm really sorry that happened to you.
probably get Mephisto in this one.
I don't think I had anything to do with it. I don't know why I'm apologizing, but I feel bad about it for some reason.
Oh, man.
When do we watch C?
End of August.
I'm
know what?
I'm ready for a good show.
That you are this excited for C, it does things to me, man.
Bro,
But
you guys are in for a treat. Seriously.
I'm going to make you a rope,
I just,
and it's going to say thanks.
Nobody gets these references.
I'm gonna go home and start praying right after this.
I'm praying right now, man. That's
Moving
a
on.
euphemism for masturbation.
Kadish,
Oh
you
my
have thoughts
God.
about this?
Yeah, what's your prediction there, Kadish?
So I think that we're going to see Renslayer kind of like get some revelations about the beginning of the TVA. She has a big role to play in terms of like being King the Conqueror's love interest, and eventually, like, I believe her name is Renslayer, the Terminatrix in the comics at
Ooh,
some
that's
point.
a badass name.
And we're going to see the main guy behind the TVA, and we're going to learn like what his plan was. And I think we're going to see Loki kind of set the stage for the multiverse of madness. At least I hope so.
Yeah, I do too.
Because like it would be a real shame if they ended this episode without doing any of that
Yeah,
setup.
because that's out next, right?
Yeah.
After this.
And I think it would be
Shang-Chi is the next one.
Oh.
On
which
the,
nobody cares about. I think it would be really cool if we saw some more clones, because like, you know, if there's all these different timelines and variants of all of these people, I'd like to see more of these people that we've come to like throughout the process of the show. Like, I want to see another Mobius. I wouldn't mind seeing another Renslayer who's like super evil, and the one that we've gotten to know on this at the TVA, like, and she turns out to actually be like just some girl who was duped. I think that would be an interesting twist.
You know who the big bad is in this whole thing, right?
It's a chick.
It's the clock.
Oh, Miss Minutes.
Miss Minutes, I've been saying since the beginning, I don't trust her.
Oh, no, not at all.
That
Yeah.
evil animated clock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Voiced by Harley Quinn.
You guys want to get super MCU nerdy real quick? There's a scene in this episode where classic Loki is telling our MCU version Loki how he defeated Thanos. And he's like, I masterfully made a copy of myself so real that it was able to fool the mad titan. And, you know, he was explaining how he did all this. And he's like, I hid as debris and I survived and I lived on. And now there's something that I noticed, not I noticed, but I was watching a couple of videos, and it's kind of pointed out that every time Loki does a projection of himself, it's a left-handed version. He's right-handed, but the projection is left-handed.
Interesting.
And in Endgame, when Loki gets strangled by Thanos, he tries to stab him with his left hand. It's a left-handed version of Loki. And I'm like, if they freaking, if that's a setup from Endgame all the way to this TV show, and that was like planned out, God,
Which the whole time that means our Loki's bullshit.
he's still alive.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because he
I'm down
hid.
with
So
that.
that was a copy, and he hid as debris. And he did what classic Loki told him he did. He just mimicked that idea, and he survived. So the Loki guy that choked and Thor thought was dead, that was just a fake.
So I'll say this. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this is the first Marvel TV show to get a second season. So
I didn't know they were doing it.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision were both just like miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
But Loki has actually been approved for a season 2.
That's the star power of Tom Hiddleston.
I'm devastated that we're not going to get more of Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, okay.
Because I need to get my hatred out of my body, and that's how I do it.
Take a hot bath, some oils, a bath bomb.
Without that show, Kadish is going to start getting beatings again.
Oh my God.
Like, yeah, but he kind of likes it. So
I don't know what to say to that. Okay, guys. Well, do you have any final thoughts? Vader, you're already checked out. Do you even care?
no.
Are you with me, though? It's going to be a chick at the end, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Hey, Alex.
Yes. Yep, there it is. Jude, final thoughts on this episode?
I'm still on board. I'm still hopeful for the last episode. And you know what? Those of you who hate this show and think that I'm going to get crushed, tune in next week because maybe I will.
Here's the thing. I'm checked out, but not enough to the point where I'm not going to be in front of my TV at midnight tonight.
For sure.
When it comes on.
Yeah.
I'm going to be texting, are you awake?
I'll probably watch it.
We're not going to watch it until probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
no, I'm waking you up and you're going to watch it with me. We're going to live chat this thing.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Gonna
I
do a
might.
Spaces watch party.
So I'm
That might be
I'm gonna have to hold off on the I told you so until after 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be true or not. Kadish, final thoughts.
If you're able to predict what's going to happen, I will eat my hat.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Better get some hot sauce.
Boy.
I have no faith in Alex's ability to predict.
I will palm far all of you at the same time live.
Whoa.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know how it's going to end. I just know that I've been really enjoying the show. I like all the twists and turns. I feel like the writing for this show has been pretty clever for the most part. And so I think that they've got a few surprises left for us. I just hope that they don't end things on a huge cliffhanger that we're going to have to wait forever to find out what happens next.
You make a good point. Now that we know it's getting a season 2, that's totally a shady thing that they would do to us.
Yeah, but we might not get season 2 till 2027.
Well, we'll probably get it next year, but I'm hoping that it comes after or before the Multiverse of Madness, like either leading into it or directly afterwards to deal with like
Don't
the...
Somebody
have,
make me
like-
that alligator shirt before we get season 2.
Don't they have like 12 other series that get in and out of here before?
I don't know. I'm not really following the MCU right now.
Not
I'm
either.
like, we're watching like Black Widow and stuff because it's out, but I don't.
Well, the next TV show is What If, and that's kind of like its own thing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
And then they've got, was it She-Hulk? They've got Miss Marvel. They've got Moon Knight.
Check.
And I think that...
telling you, dude.
Moon
Squirrel
Knight.
Girl.
Is Moon Knight, is that Oscar
Miss-
Isaac or
Yes.
Kit Harington?
That's Oscar Isaac.
Kit Harington's a
He's in
different.
the Eternals. He's
What's
the
the
Black
one?
Knight.
What's the one with the
I can't believe they got Oscar Isaac to do a TV show for Disney Plus. That seems like
It's all about...
that seems
Fame.
below him though. He's a big time actor.
I don't know.
He's really good.
I don't know how many more of these shows we're going to actually review on the show.
I don't know. I think we're gonna go. Well, never mind. We don't have to talk about it right now. But anyway, that's it. That's our spoiler discussion for Loki. Let me know what you think. Is it gonna be a big bad chick at the end? The MCU, as they have tagged it.
Oh my God.
Comment below.
I'm so glad the universe gave you 1,000 boy children and that you're not raising any girls.
Girls are a
We
pain in the ass.
got the chick TVA agent. We got the chick that was in the prison cell. We got the chick Loki. Whatever, man. That's cool.
No, you're right.
Kick Loki in the balls a couple more times. See if it makes
Do
you
it.
feel better.
Do it.
I'm just doing it to piss off Jude now. I don't really care.
I hope he illusions himself a vagina and then you'll go out of your mind.
Oh my God. Whatever. All right, guys. That's it. Vader, where can they find you on the socials?
You can find me at MattVader74 on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Grabber, and
It's Getter.
Getter. Oh, that's right.
Grabber does not exist.
It's going to now.
Googling www.
Let's grabber.
I hate you.
I hate you.
Jude, where can they find you on the socials?
I just decided that here's what I want for our last episode. I want that Deathstalker scene where he transforms that man into the princess and he's like, I have boobs! I want that now for you.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, not Grabber.
Loki at the end of the episode just
Oh,
fights
yes.
a giant penis.
Can they find you on Grindr?
That joke is played, man.
Yeah.
Kadish, where
Let
can
it
they find
go.
you on the socials?
Well, they can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter and Getter. And you can also find my books on Amazon by going to kadishbooks.com.
And you guys can find me on our Discord server, saltynerd.discord.com. Go there, join up. We'll give you a role. You can chat with us. We have all kinds of different chats open, all about spoilers and different shows and different hobbies and whatever you want. We'll make a chat for you. Hit us up and I'll be there. That's it. We're done, right? We're good? All right, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great day. Stay salty, my friends.